Hello, this is Chris Yeagle with Diligent Plans. I'd like to share a philosophy we have at Diligent Plans about a leader's life cycle, basically the stage of leadership that they're in, which begins when they first become a leader and it ends when they leave, hopefully, some type of legacy. We call it the leadership apple. So let me break that down. The A, it's A.P.L. The A stands for awareness. So we have leadership awareness. This is when you're first assigned a leadership role. It could be informal, so maybe you just come into influence over people. Maybe you're given a specific title. Maybe you got a new job or position, or you started a company and now you have influence over people. This is awareness. All of a sudden, you're in a leadership role and you become aware of it. The important part here is to realize that you're not projecting light as much at this point. You're really absorbing. You're learning. You're maybe testing the waters with some of your leadership beliefs and philosophies, but you're really kind of an absorber of light. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a second. Now, after leadership awareness, you move into the next part of the life cycle, which is the P in Apple, A.P.L. The P stands for projection. Projection is your working years. So when you're projecting your leadership, you're doing the thing, man. You're out there working as a leader. And there are two routes you can go during this time. And this is the bulk of your leadership career or influence or however you want to describe it. First of all, you could rise from the tactical level, which is at the ground level, the grassroots type level, to a strategic level, to where you have large influence over many people, many organizations and people. For instance, think of a general in the military. A general doesn't fire a weapon, and if they are, we've really been ransacked or overrun, but they don't fire a weapon. They're at the strategic level, the tactical operations center, and they can see the entire battlefield, and they make strategic decisions based on unit strength and capabilities of the enemy and many other factors. That's probably another talk for another time. But that's a strategic leader. Now, a tactical leader is, let's say, as a military example, a platoon leader, or let's say a young sergeant in a police department where they have influence over some troops or some subordinates, and they're at the level, so they're actually doing the things that their subordinates are doing. They're in the fight with them at the tactical level. Now, you don't need to necessarily progress from tactical to strategic to have a successful leadership career. In fact, let's think of a few leaders that stayed tactical their entire time. Susan B. Anthony would be one, Mother Teresa, Audie Murphy. They stayed at the grassroots, ground level most of their time, and they worked there in those years as leaders. All right, so that takes us to the next level. And the last one, the L in the leadership apple, stands for legacy. Now, leadership legacy is a bright casting light. You have now probably shaped an organization and left your mark that will forever be there. You've left your philosophies, your practices, your cultural cues. You've left things that are going to stay behind long after you go. Example could be the presidents of the United States or world leaders around the world that maybe impacted their countries for periods to come. Could be someone like a CEO like Steve Jobs. You know, his fingerprints are still all over Apple. Whether you agree with his leadership or not, you have to admit that you can still see his influence even though he's gone. So that is the last stage of the leader's life cycle. All right, so why is it important? Well, it's important to know because at all points along the way, you need to know how to grow. So when you're first aware that you're a leader, you should be seeking knowledge, getting in front of people that you can glean information and wisdom from, and learn how to be the leader that you were meant to be. And then as projection goes, you should be as effective as you can when you're actually applying your leadership. You should reflect along the way during that time and take on a mindset of continuous improvement. And then as legacy, you can kind of kick up your feet and enjoy what you've done, but also you have a responsibility to mentor people and pass on. Now you do that across all the way, but during legacy, you have a responsibility to pass on what you've learned over the years. Maybe you write a book at that time. Maybe you take people under your wing. You should still share your leadership. I don't think we're meant to retire in this world. I don't think we're meant to walk the beaches of the world or go live on a mountain somewhere. I believe when we're here, we should be working. And even in the legacy stage of leadership, you got to take responsibility for the calling. Thanks for listening. Hopefully that gave you some insight into our belief about the leadership apple, the life cycle of leaders over time, what it means to you, and how you can develop along the way. Thank you.